I hear all the time from mums that they're worried about, will they be able to keep breastfeeding once their baby's got teeth? Because what if they bite them? Or I speak to mums who are struggling with their babies biting while feeding. Now, your baby getting teeth isn't the end of breastfeeding. A lot of babies do bite, but I'm going to share with you 5 really easy tips to deal with biting and to get your baby to stop doing it. So here's the first thing I want to share. Most of the time, biting is related to teething. The good thing about this is that it means that it's transient. Generally, your baby is more likely to bite while they're struggling with pain from their teeth. Once that tooth pops through, the biting tends to settle on its own in most cases. You can, of course, in that situation, help to manage that pain with all of your usual remedies for your baby, and the more you can keep that pain under control, the less likely they are to bite. The second thing to be aware of is that sometimes we can see other things causing biting. So babies who regularly have pacifiers, bottles, soft silicone-topped sippy cups, they will often, as they start to get older, start to mouth and bite and chew on those. And some babies who have those regularly then struggle to distinguish between not doing that same mouthing and biting and chewing at breast. So how do you stop your baby biting? Well, first thing to do, try to predict when it's going to happen. While your baby's actively feeding, they can't bite you. Because if they're latched on, then their tongue is actually extended out over their lower gum, so they can't bite down on you without biting their own tongue. So your baby will generally tend to break that latch slightly before they bite. So predicting when it's going to happen can be quite helpful. When you feel your baby stop sucking, don't hesitate to pop a finger in their mouth, take them off. You can always relatch them back on afterwards if they still want to keep feeding. The other reason that you'll sometimes see your baby biting is because they're fussing over the flow of milk. Some babies will bite because they're frustrated because the milk isn't flowing fast enough, and other babies will bite because the milk is flowing too fast and they can't cope with the flow. So try to pay attention to what's going on when your baby is biting. If they've just latched onto the breast, haven't started that nice slow rhythmic suck and swallow yet, it's quite possible that they're biting because they can't get that milk to flow. If your baby has latched on and is gulping and gulping and gulping and just being drowned by a fire hydrant and then they bite, then it's likely that your baby is struggling with that milk flow being too fast. So the first step to dealing with biting is to figure out what the cause is. Is it teething pain? Is it to do with milk flow? Is it to do with your baby being used to other teats and other things that they can chew and bite on? Once you've figured out that cause, it then allows you to determine what you do about it. Do you manage the teething pain? Do you look into your milk supply, look into your baby's tongue function, adjust your breastfeeding position to help with that milk flow? Or do you look at removing some of those other teats and things that your baby is putting in their mouth and biting on to help break that association for them? While you're actually feeding your baby, it's really helpful to look out for what they're doing so you can predict when the biting is potentially going to happen and you can take them off before it does. When your baby's latched onto the breast, their tongue extends out over their lower gum, so they can't bite you without biting their own tongue. So generally, if your baby's going to bite, they will break that latch slightly before they do it. So pay close attention to what your baby's doing when they're feeding. When they stop sucking and swallowing, and you can feel or see that they've just broken that latch slightly, that's a great time to pop your finger in their mouth, take them off. And if need be, if they still want to keep feeding, then latch them back on again. And that's a great way to avoid the biting. Like I said, most biting is related to teething. Most biting is very transient. You might only find baby does it a few times over the course of a few days, and then that settles down and goes away. So it absolutely does not spell the end of breastfeeding.